Hi there, I'm Helen, and today I want to give you some vocal tips for creating a smooth, consistent voice that's able to move through your vocal registers, going from low notes to high notes without cracking or breaking. Now, if you find that some days you're going along and you're singing and it feels great and you're down here and singing around in your chest voice, and it feels great and you feel good, and then suddenly you have to go high and suddenly the voice cracks and breaks out of nowhere, and then you might find you're able to go higher, but this crack in the middle of your vocal range, if you find that you have that, then you are not alone, and many people struggle with that, and I'm going to give you some tips on how you can fix it and move through that and find a good practice so that you can build strength in that area and then consistently create a smooth voice. So like I said, it's something that many people struggle with, and you're not alone. In Italian, they call it passaggio in classical singing. So that translates to passage. And basically what that means is, in terms of singing, the passage we take, or the bridge we take from our lower voice to our higher voice, chest voice to head voice, and the middle section in between, the passaggio, is your middle or blended voice, which can be a little bit problematic. Now, let's just talk a little bit about vocal registers. Your chest register, as we call it, because you feel a sensation of buzzing from your larynx when you sing in this lower region, is quite comfortable to sing in for most people. It's around the place you speak, and therefore you're used to creating sound there. Then the head voice, so called because you feel a sensation of buzzing around, usually around the nose, front of the face, that kind of thing, is called head voice because when the larynx rise, we tend to feel a sensation of buzzing around the front of the face. Then there's the infamous middle voice or blended voice. You're no longer in chest voice and not yet in head voice, and you have middle voice. And this can be a little problematic as the vocal cords change shape, lengthen towards the head voice, and move from being thick and vibrating slightly slower to vibrating quickly and getting thinner. This can be problematic as we go through those changes. So I'm going to give you some tips on what to do. My first two tips are actually, you'll probably have heard of before, and they may not be anything new to you, but it's really worth mentioning as a reminder for us all. So the first tip, if you're struggling with voice breaking, is to really make sure that you're warming up. I know you've probably heard that before, but it's so easy to forget. We all do sometimes, but just a little bit of consistent warming up in a nice, easy way for those vocal cords is going to make all the difference. Here are 3 ways that I like to warm up. First of all, I love the lip trill, or the tongue trill, moving up and down my vocal range. I love the siren. Everybody loves the siren. Most people like that. And that's when you put the middle of the tongue to the roof of your mouth, and then in a relaxed way, don't need to be tense. In a relaxed way, you move gently through your vocal range. And if you do this, moving a little bit higher every time, trying a little bit lower, being nice and gentle and relaxed, it's a very good way to warm up your voice. The other way, which many singers also love, and that's straw phonation, which is great, like the other 2 ways, because it creates a back pressure, which really sandwiches those vocal cords and allows them to coordinate really well. But it's also very gentle because we're not creating a big sound. We're looking to create a small sound and move through our vocal range. A bit like being a dancer. You wouldn't you'd make sure you'd warmed up if you were a dancer. You wouldn't start with high kicks. And this is a bit like bending those knees and just getting everything warmed up. So when you do your vocal warm-ups through a straw, it creates a back pressure, and that back pressure is involved in getting those vocal cords lined up and coordinated to really to start really singing well. Yeah, so try straw phonation and make sure that your vocal cords are really warmed up before you sing. Not only is this going to be really beneficial for in the moment when you've got your big performance, but also it's going to be really beneficial for long-term vocal health. And that's really important, that we don't dry out those vocal cords and we keep them strong and healthy and coming together well. Okay, the second tip, again, is something you might already know, but it's really worth remembering. The second tip is making sure that you have good posture when you sing. Again, when you're singing those lower notes, you can almost be doing anything and you'll probably be able to create a sound that's quite comfortable. But if you go through a song which has lots of highs and lows and quiet notes and strong notes, you really need to make sure that you're working with the body and not against the body. So what that means in terms of posture is we want to make sure that we're not sticking out the chin and therefore the larynx is out of alignment. Or maybe you're sticking out the bum, or maybe you come to a note and you think, I'm gonna go to it, I'm gonna reach this note, and you reach for it, and now I've got this strain around the throat, the larynx is out of alignment, the chin's forward, and actually what you're doing is strangling that sound and making it really difficult for the vocal cords. The body knows how to sing. The body wants us to work with it to create the sounds. We don't have to do too much excessive pushing in order to make the sounds we want. We need to learn how to place the notes in our body rather than push. So what I suggest is you take a look in the mirror when you're singing and double check that you have a long neck at the back, that your chin is remaining neutral. It's not up, it's not down, but remaining neutral. And when that happens, now the larynx and the throat and all the muscles that support it and those vocal cords is also relaxed too. We need to be a strong vessel, a vessel that is able to carry the sound. We don't want to be so uptight like this that everything gets squeezed and cut off, and we don't want to be floppy either. We want to make sure that we're a strong chamber for those sound waves to move through our body. So those are two easy ways that you can check that you're going to create a sound that's going to be full and flowing and smooth. All right, let's move on to my third tip that's going to really help you. We're all looking to create a warm, rich sounding voice that moves easily through our vocal registers, from low, middle to high voice. But quite often we get that pesky break in the middle that drives us crazy. What can we do about it? Well, the first thing we can do is understand how the vocal cords work. Your vocal cords, you can imagine a bit like violin strings, with air that moves through them. The vocal cords vibrate, and it's this vibrating, resisting the air moving through them that creates the sound. The real key point here is coming together. The vocal cords need to come together in order to resist the air and create the sound. The vocal cords find it easy to come together and vibrate in the lower registers. And they're pretty good at coming together in the higher registers too, but not quite as good. But what doesn't help the vocal cords do their job is tension, strain, and too much air being pushed through them. Well, we've all done it. We've all pushed and strained our way to get a note which we feel is just beyond our reach. And although we do it unconsciously, it's really not helpful to the larynx, which is doing a great job of moving muscles that help the vocal cords to vibrate and come together well. So what can you do instead? Well, the first thing to do is to go with the body rather than against it. You want to be engaged, but not full of tension and stress and pushing. The body knows how to sing. The second of all, we need to realize that actually the vibrations of the vocal cords are the start of the sound, but not the whole sound. The sound is helped and made bigger and rings out by what we call the resonators. The resonators are spaces in the body which the airways goes through and helps the sound ring out. A bit like going into the bathroom and singing, or at school in the school hall or church, and you sing out, and the hard surfaces of those spaces lets the sound waves bounce off and ring out. And if we engage in those, we don't need to put so much strain on the vocal cords to do every ounce of the work. When we sing in chest voice, the voice easily resonates. When we sing in head voice, it easily resonates, but the middle part can get a little bit confused as it's no longer resonating in chest voice, not quite in head voice. Sometimes we don't know what to do, but the truth is we have to let it ring out a little bit in chest and a little bit in head. And what we do to help it do that is we sing words that have a glottal onset, or we use sounds that have a glottal onset. So glottal onsets are words and sounds like kick, gug, where there's a moment of pause before the sound is made and the vocal cords can line up to do their job. Words that don't have the glottal onset are words like whose and have, and the vocal cords don't need to come together so easily. So if we practice on kick or gug, then the vocal cords line up. And as they line up, and as we go up the scales and we engage with the resonators, our bodies can get used to the vocal cords coming together and the resonating happening and the sound easily moving through our bodies and flowing. So if you're ready, let's practice on some sounds that are going to help those vocal cords come together and encourage us to relax and use the resonators. All right, we're going to start with saying gug, and that's G-U-G, gug. And we're going to go gug, 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 gug. Now let's remember a couple of things I said. First of all, make sure your posture's good. Your chin isn't up, you're not out of alignment. And we're going to really form the G nice and strongly. Gug, 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 gug. Yeah? And we're going to do it slowly to allow that little bit of a pause as the vocal cords come together well. Here we go. Here we go. You ready to sing gug with me? And gug, 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 gug. 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 Great. So if you keep practicing on the glottal onsets, if you keep reminding yourself to keep this area relaxed, allowing the larynx and the vocal cords to do their job, and keep the air consistently going through the vocal cords, through the vocal tract and resonating around behind the nose, then you're going to start to have a smooth sound. And it's with practice of these things. It won't happen overnight, but it's with practice that will lead you to feel like you have a bit more control and you know where your voice is going to go, and you can problem solve when you come across something that doesn't feel right to you. But keep practicing, keep enjoying, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video for some more tips. Happy singing!